The job for this morning is to sort out this bean bed. I've cleared the trellis, so the rest of these weeds, pulled some out. There's a lot of buttercups and things that need digging out, so that needs doing. And then I need to fix the edges for this bed, and then I can manure it. The shed door looks bad, so I start with fixing the door panel that is coming off. Okay, well, I've nailed these edges, put a few nails along this edge, and that should keep it going for a bit. Because these are internal doors, so they're not meant to be out in the elements, so they don't last forever, but hopefully that'll keep it going for a bit longer. The trouble with starting these jobs is you do get distracted onto something else. And I started at this end of the bean bed to try and clear it, and then I thought, well, I'll start with this path because there was a lot of weeds that were coming in from over this side, and I started pulling, and I ended up clearing the nettles and some of the brambles from around this apple tree so I can get in and prune it, because it certainly does need a good prune. It took several boxes of nettles. This stuff I've not seen before, because this was all covered in brambles and nettles and stuff. Like this thing might have been an old bed or something, whatever it was. It's obviously seen better days, so it's going to come off and be chucked in the stuff to be burnt. And there's a lot of carpet under here. You can see carpet, so you can see the edge of it there. Carpet here, here. These were the hazel sticks from the tree I cut back in the spring, so they'll be dry and they can be pruned and used. It's not the job I meant to do, but it's another job off the list of things to do. And I can now get in and actually cut this privet once I clear this stuff off. There's bits of stones and rubbish and stuff back there which I couldn't see before. There's this barrel that's been collecting water, and it'll be full of nasty stuff because you can see the privet is actually growing into it, so it'll smell funky when I get into it, but I'm leaving it for now. So that's one job done. So I may not get the bean bed done today, but we'll have a go, see how it goes. I found a window, and it's a toughened glass double glazed window, and it's almost exactly the right size. It's more or less the same width there, and the length of it is just a little bit longer, but that's fine. So if I can build a frame for this and replace the old wood, this will make a really nice cold frame. So that's a good find, pleased with that. And it was sitting in the car park. I went past it and thought, oh, that's about the right size, and when I measured it, it's more or less perfect. So I'm pleased with that. It's been raining, so the ground is a bit too muddy to do any digging. I'll just be covered in mud from head to toe, so I'll let it dry out a bit. So what I'll do is I'll get on with pruning this privet hedge, sorting these bits of metal and things, and then I can put this area into use, even if it's just for storage something. But it's sort of comes and goes. It's sunny now, but it was raining, and there's dark clouds on the horizon there, so it might rain again, so we'll see how it goes. Right, that hedge is done. The sun is over there in the sky, so it's going to be difficult to show the whole hedge without blinding you, but yeah, I've taken a lot down. I've taken it down quite a bit, the top as well, so it's letting a lot more light in. I've taken it back quite a bit, so when I need to I can get in and cut that back again. Trouble with it is, as these things get thicker, you sort of go around with your clippers and it doesn't take the thicker branches, so you cut a little bit higher and a little bit thicker, and over time it just gets thicker and taller over. Every so often you need to go and take it down a bit, and whew, there's a lot. I mean, I've put a lot in the other pile, but there's a lot of clippings. Just pile them under the apple tree for now, I think. And the smaller stuff is alright, it'll rot down, but there's big thick branches like that. It was like nearly 3.5 meters tall, that. So it's cleared this up. I put some of what I've cut from that hedge onto this pile, but most of it has gone under this apple tree, so there's quite a lot piled there, and I've plowed some of the big long pieces along the hedge. It will fill out, so I'm not worried about that, but it just looks like I've vandalised it. So the south side of the plot is done. Sort those pots out, those trays, and those I'll sort out and put them over there. This side, apart from pruning the apple tree, that's done. Everything else is done. So clear this area. There's the old Anderson shelter, and there's a lot of brambles and nettles and things that I'll sort those out, but it's not urgent. But yeah, everything else is sorted apart from this apple tree, and I can come and prune that another day. And this hedge has got quite thick. My neighbour Tony was trying to cut the top, and he was having to stand on things to reach his side. I mean, he's put all the trimmings on that side. Yeah, it's quite thick. I did cut this hole so I could get around between these two beds, or this bed and this cowl frame. I cut this back quite a bit, and it has actually even grown back since the spring. It was all cut back to bare wood, and it looked like the other hedge does now, but it's all come back, so I'll cut this back and see how that goes. So I've got to get in there and cut way in, and there's things like bloody hazels that squirrels have planted, but I'll sort those out. So that's how it looks now. And once I've trimmed it back and made it level with the other side, it's not too bad. This is why I don't put privet clippings at the base of the hedge, because some of them start to root. I mean, I caught this one early, so it's not that big, but some of the others are a bit bigger and thicker. And that's how it spreads, because not only do you start with the originals, then you get new ones rooting, like that one is rooting. This one is rooted as well, and then the hedge just moves forward and gets wider and wider. And I found all these brambles that were hiding in the hedge, and they need cutting. I'll have a bit of a job digging them out, so I'm just going to cut them down a bit, and then when I've got more time I'll dig them out, because they'll be mixed in with all the privet roots, and I'm rushing to get this done. I've got 1,000 other jobs to do, so these bramble roots will get a bit of a reprieve. They'll come up again, but then in the spring I'll dig them out. Well, this bit is done. Then this front bit is still to do, but I've got a gap here, and now you can see that how narrow that gap used to be where that blue bag is. So I've cleared a bit of stuff, and got a nice big path here. You can certainly pull wheelbarrows and things down here. Now this bit here looks a bit bare, but these, once they're exposed to sunlight, they will fill out. This is like a tree trunk, and you can see it's thicker than my arm. It's, you know, like it's thicker than my arm, but some bits of it, but here it was all old stuff. I mean, that it's just like just coming apart in my hand. So look at it, it's all rotten because it's not seen daylight, so these bits are a bit rotten, so I had to take some of that out. But there's new young privet rooted, so it will fill up this space, so that's not a worry. It looks like I've got a lot of space here, but unfortunately there is a big pile here. This whole bed is now privet cuttings. This is where I had the squash, but if I want to use it again I've got to have a bonfire, because there's a lot of thick stuff. I mean, a lot of this thick stuff that's got very little leaves, or there's stuff like this that's got like 4 leaves at the top, and you know, the rest is all wood. Yeah, I think another bonfire is necessary, and I think I need to do that before I do any more. I've got the rest of the winter to do. I've done about 7-8 meters, well, from before and today. There's about 3-4 meters at that end to do, and there's another 15 meters or so to do at that end. But I've got all winter, because I'm not going to be going up and down here with wheelbarrows over the winter, so I've got the the rest of the winter to sort this out. So I've done the south side more or less sorted, sorting the north side a bit. I'll leave that at this stage, and I mean, it's only November, so I've still got December, January, February, March, so I've got time to clear the rest of this. Okay, well, I've wood chipped around this area a bit, then I found a plastic bag, and when I pulled it, it's full of charcoal. I mean, there's all these tiles as well, so I thought, right, and then underneath that is another bag of something else. Then I've pulled this bit of carpet, and under the carpet is a roll of felt there. Good grief, doesn't anybody ever clean up on their allotments? This is all charcoal, just sort of dumped, and it was all covered by the hedge when the hedge was out here, so this was all covered. Now that stuff is stuff I've cleared and put here, but this wasn't me. This other stuff is just waiting to go in the skip, but I'm discovering new stuff all the time. I think I need to deal with that. And there is more slates there as well, which I knew about, because that's when I cleared it a bit and put this other stuff underneath it. And I've got all that to do, so it'll be interesting to see what else I find. Right, I'm going to collect that charcoal because there's no way I can lift that bag, it's all fallen to bits. So I'm going to try and get most of this charcoal and collect it up and leave it somewhere else. What I might do is just add it, just put it on top of the compost heap. It's quite a lot. It's almost full of that bucket, but it just keeps going on there. Oh jeez. So got that. That's the bit, but that doesn't matter. Now the intriguing bit is what was underneath the charcoal. Oh. There it was. Tony said it might be manure, but it's not. Well, it doesn't smell like manure. I think it's just old weed roots they've put in a bag and forgotten about. Well, I've emptied that bag and there wasn't much in it, but it seemed to be compost. A few roots or something in there, but I'll have to throw that out. But the rest of it is good compost. I've broken it up a little bit. Seems to be okay, so I'll let that mix in with the other compost, and this bit I'll throw away. Right, those slates will be used to repair this cold frame, but that's further down the line. Well, this is all rubbish anyway, so I'll leave that carpet and bit of felt, and when we do get a skip I can just get rid of them. But I can spread the wood chips around this area and tidy this up. Morning, Tony. Oh no, sorry, it's not Tony.
No, not Tony, no.
Right, now that looks a lot better than that overgrown mess that we had before, so pleased with that. This will all fill out anyway, and this bit looks bad now, but that's how this bit looked in the spring when I cut it back, and you'd never know. So privet bounces back quite quickly. People are sometimes a bit scared because they say, oh, branches, it's gone a bit bare, but it comes back before you know it. I've cleared most of the brambles along this back wall and the back of the greenhouse, but it's been several wheelbarrow loads to clear all this stuff off. It's gone into the shed even, so I've cleared most of them out. Now I'm leaving the stumps because I need to dig them out, but the thing is, they sort of go right up to the brick, so you can't get a fork in under it. So it's going to be a horrible digging out job. Got a little bit more left here. Well, that's really gets to the boundary between mine and the next person's hedge, so I'm going to stop there. So there's not some there, but I'm going to leave them. This little bit I'll cut back a little bit more, but I want to leave the stumps. It's just like chock-a-block back there. So the same all along here. I don't think it had had a good clean out for years. Then once you clear them out, there's all sorts of stones and rocks and bricks and all sorts, and rusty old bits of metal, all sorts here. So I'll deal with those another day. But it's quite a good clean out. And the brambles in here were sort of going into that area as well. They're all over the place. So I've cut them back a bit from that side, but I'm leaving this bit because it sort of hides that mess a little bit. I'm leaving this bit till I can sort that out. But for now, we'll have to do. This corner is a problem because there's a lot of glass there that I've got nowhere to put them. And until we get a skip, I can't get rid of them. Some stuff in the corner there. It's a massive hawthorn, which I'm going to cut down. But that can wait till the spring. So most of this corner can wait till the spring. This is the edge of the coal frame, and it's a brick edge, so that's solid. But then there's bits of wood lying about, plastic, and all sorts of crates, and God knows what else is down there. So I might leave that for a bit. But what I will do is clear out some of these brambles and nettles and things, so it looks a little bit tidier. But that corner I'm just going to leave alone for now, and I'll probably come back to it and have another look. But I'll try and get this area sorted, and then I can put some wood chips on top of this and see how it goes. Yeah, it looks a right mess. And I can't believe these buttercups. I put in a good 30 centimetres of wood chips and they still come through it. Bloody things. I know this is the edge where it's a bit thinner and where it sort of runs out. But there's a carpet underneath here as well, so that needs to be lifted. You can see the carpet pattern. So I don't know how far it goes, where it goes, but I'll deal with that. Well, I'll have a go a bit at clearing some of this stuff today. Clearing some of this stuff as well. We've got a few runaway raspberries as well. Obviously the suckers off this one, that one and that one. So I will dig them out and put them where there are gaps, like here, a bit of a gap, and over there I put the physalis this year, but obviously that's going to go, so there'll be room for another raspberry there. So when these die off, I'll replace them with raspberries. I'll move this blackcurrant, and I'm giving away this gooseberry and this gooseberry. So this whole area will be dedicated to physalis next year, and then I can protect them with cloches if necessary. It's still got, it's not ripe yet, but it's still going. I'm amazed, it's nearly the end of November and it's still going. So if I get it going early and maybe put some polythene over it, make a little polytunnel and get them going early, I think they will do well here, because they certainly seem to have liked it once they got going. But I'll put them in late this year, so if I get my act together next year and get this lot sorted, I think we should get a good crop next year. This charcoal that was in that bag, not quite sure what it is, so I'm not going to put it on the straight on the beds. Get rid of that. I'll just spread it on top of this compost. Well, I say compost, it will be compost, it's all leaves at the moment, so it will mix in with that rather than putting it straight onto the beds. So the worms will mix that in, and then it won't be such a problem, because if you put a lot of charcoal on, it might start absorbing nutrients rather than letting the plants have them. So this way it's better, it just mixes in with the compost. Now that the weeds have gone, I've cleared this area, and I've never seen the edge of this coil frame before. It's pretty well gone, this front edge. Ooh, a bit of glass there, missed that. That side's solid, that edge is again solid, so the two ends are solid. The back needs a bit of work, and the front, well, it just needs, I don't know, once I get into it I'll clear it out. But it's a decent size coil frame, so I'll see what I can do with it. But yeah, I've pulled a lot of weeds from around here and I can see what's going on. Well, I've got the worst of it, so it just doesn't look like an impenetrable barrier on that side. I've got to cut the grass, but that's easy enough to do. But it was the brambles and nettles that I had to contend with. And over here, I still haven't got to the bottom, but there are these metal trellises, these two. That bit of wire, there was all grass and roots and weeds going through it, and this chicken wire took a bit of effort to dig it out. And there's things I found like pots and these metal or plastic things. They just keep going, but I don't know where they stop because they go under those windows, so I've got to wait a bit. But yeah, it's looking a bit better. Now that I've removed all that metal, this piece of wood can come out. It's not part of the frame, so that can come out. I think I'm going to leave that. But I'll try and tidy up those big bits of glass, and then that's it. I was just given a piece of land cress, so all I'm going to do is just put it in a pot. It had a cucumber in it earlier, so it's still moist, so a bit of stuff on top. Yeah, that's fine. And it's got quite a good root system on it, so put that in. Shove that in with my hand. This land cress does well around here, so I'm hoping to save some seeds from this plant. And hopefully we'll see if it survives in the greenhouse. I'll just give it a bit of water. Okay, and it'll sit there in that corner, and I think it'll be alright in the corner of the greenhouse for now. We'll see how it does. Right, I've cleared out the window frames, and most of them were rotten, like this one, and this has got cracks, so there was only I think one or two complete panes. Most of them are broken, and these frames, they just came apart, so I'll just pile them up over there for the moment. And the glass here, I will put them where the bath is at the moment, but I'll have to move the bath first. So now that's cleared. Behind them is a door and a piece of corrugated metal. I mean, the door is actually okay. There's all this dried old bindweed and things back here. We've got the privet, covers most of this area, but around here where the hawthorn is, under it there's nothing apart from some brambles, so whatever's here is stopping the brambles coming over to my side, so I'm leaving that alone. There's brambles and nettles on that side of the door, so I'll keep that. And there's a load of fencing here, so I'll leave that alone. I thought it was a makeshift compost heap when I looked at it from a distance. Now that I can get in and look, it isn't. It's just the grass has grown into it, so I'll see if I can find a use for it. Otherwise it's going to go in the a car park for somebody else that could make use of it.